What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode here at Kibbetech. I know it has been a long time since we've done an update. We've been just really busy with a lot of things going on. I'm sure you've seen it if you follow us on Instagram. But let's just walk you through the shop real quick, and then I'll show you what we got going on. All right, so right here, we got Eric's truck back in because we're doing the whole front suspension on it. We're doing our long travel kit with all the billet uprights and all that cool stuff. Swing set steering, full engine cage, 3.0, 4.0 shocks. Moving along, Tundra's over here now. Mike's truck is back in for front suspension, swing set steering, all that good stuff. A new motor, because I blew this one up. White truck's over here, a few things left on this to get it fully finished and then disassembled and off the powder coat. Right here, brand new build, 4-door tube chassis pre-runner based off of our trophy truck, which we haven't shown you that yet either. Gray truck's over here. We got a bunch of stuff cut out in there so we could fit the big block in it. This thing's on hold for a little bit right now. The D90 over here, you see we got it in a bunch of pieces right now. Cage and everything is over here. So the cage does bolt in the truck, but it also bolts through the floor and ties into the chassis. We've shown you that. Yeah, so we built the whole custom dash and everything on this. So part of the dash is actually part of the cage, and then there's side pieces that bolt in. Front is all wrapped up, so you can see we got mock-up tie rod on there right now, and then we finished all the steering. We'll do a deep dive on that one later. But yeah, there's a million things to catch up on, and we're not gonna cover not even 1% of it in this video. Got another new guy in the corner over here, burning away. We got a bunch of production parts. We just did a run of like 40 TRX Lower Arms, so we got like the last 2 sets we're doing right now. Some more speed toolkits, battery trays, Raptor swing set kits, heading out to customers, fuel cell cradles. We got a bunch of stuff going on. All right, back over here on the laser shop side. Just got back a bunch of our TRX lower arms. So these are direct replacement lower arms for your Ram TRX. Do a custom color badge here. They're all built around 12-point hardware, 1-inch uniballs, 1.5-inch uniball, limit strap kit, all TIG welded chromoly. So we got a couple boxes of them right here for assembly. And then back here, we got Dan's truck back from powder coat, paint, and Line-X. So you can see all the Line-X and all the areas where we wanted it. You can see this thing's obviously come a long way since the last time you saw it. Everything's 100% finished on it. Everything got sent out for powder coat, anodized, ceramic coating, everything you can think of. So we're gonna get it pretty much to a roller. Why? Shut the f up! So we're gonna get it all basically to a roller to where Ian can start doing his wiring, and then we're gonna get this thing over to Todd at Expert Auto Upholstery so he can upholster the dash and a few filler panels. But for the most part, this is what the interior is gonna look like. So we did door panels, those will be powder coated. This is what the roof's gonna look like, exposed cage with the Line-X headliner like that. We got a bunch of pods that bolt in around here, so we're gonna upholster those pods that go up the top, upholster the dash and console, and then everything else will just be like this. So I'll be able to just really use this thing, not worry about, you know, messing up the interior and all that stuff, and then just hose it out if you wanted to. But yeah, for this one we went with a different color. I've never done a truck in this color, and I want to do something different. So all the trucks in the past have been either gloss black, kind of like a semi-gloss black, or you know, some custom color like that. So we want to do something different with the gray. I think with the gray, with the black panels and everything, it's going to pop really well. So, and then for paint, it's just, you know, classic, just white paint, no pearl in it, nothing fancy. he plans on using this thing a lot. So we're kind of at the boring stage right now, just kind of reaming holes, chasing threads, putting Zeus springs on. So before powder coat, we drill out all the Zeus springs. So none of the Zeus springs have powder coat on them. The rivets aren't powder coated. That shit drives me nuts. Drilled out all the nut certs. So we got to go through nut cert all the panels that take nut certs. We're chasing threads here, reaming bolt holes, pivot holes, all that stuff. Basically getting ready to put the panels in the back, drop the fuel cell in, and just kind of start putting all the big components in that we know that can just go in and stay, won't be in our way. We'll show you more on this. It'll go together pretty quick since we got all the powder coat back, all the anodized back, all the ceramic coated parts are back. We have the motor, trans, everything's pretty much ready to go back in this thing. There'll be a lot more on this in the next episodes. All right, back over here on the table, we got some cool parts ready for assembly. So right here is the TubeWorks trophy truck rear end for Dan's truck. So this is like same, the only trophy truck rear end that TubeWorks makes. So it's got all of our bracketry on it. We did it in a BK08. It's got all Pro-Am 3 1/4 rear trophy truck hubs. But yeah, all the suspension on Dan's truck, we went with this black color just to offset that gray. Moving along here, these are the spindles for Eric's truck. So this is our Raptor F-150 four-wheel drive long travel kit spindle. So it keeps four-wheel drive, and this is all 7075 billet aluminum. See 1-inch uniballs on the top. We got stainless inserts on all the bottom pivots here. And then we did not build it around factory brakes, which I feel like if you have this spindle on your truck, you're not gonna care about running factory brakes. So we designed this around actually our own big brake kit, utilizing a Willwood rotor and caliper. So it's 6-piston Willwoods with a 14-inch rotor and our own rotor adapter and our own caliper adapter bracket. So these will be going on Eric's truck in all gold. And I got some stuff in here for prep for the Playa Modelo truck. So he did some new bushings on his steering swingers. So he's got about 1,000 miles on that truck so far, and the steering had a little bit of play in it. So he brought it in and we made some new bushings for the steering that actually we used to use an Oilite bushing basically for McMaster, and now we just machine our own from Loren. Figure we can control the tolerance a lot better making our own bushings like that. So that's what we do now, and now everything is nice and tight. So that's good. And then another cool thing, we got all these RPI bolts over here and these spacers here. Let's see, so this is like OEM. So this is for our TRX Lower Arms. So if you know like the Raptors and the TRX trucks, they have that ginormous lower shock bolt that's like a 24 millimeter socket that goes, it's just a big stupid bolt. So we actually make these reducer sleeves out of stainless steel. So this is marked with a K on it because this is for the King shock, and then this one is marked OEM, so that this actually goes in the OEM shock on the lower pivot, and then you use this bitchin' aircraft 12-point bolt from RPI for your lower shock bolt, which just is more than strong enough for a shock. Like this is the same stuff you put on a trophy truck. So put that sleeve in there, put the bolt in there, and then that allowed us to make that lower arm skinnier, and we actually gained ground clearance by not having to have that big OEM bolt with the flange head that is probably about that big. So we're able to reduce all this down and get a much cleaner look out of the arm and gain strength. So this is standard on all of our TRX lower arms, this right here. All right, back here in the fab shop. So the last time you guys were in here and saw these tables, there was usually something blurry in the background or something that we couldn't show you. There was a couple projects that were kind of secret builds that we couldn't show you. And we're going to talk about one of those now, and that's the Bronco that we built for the guys at Fun Hammer Off-Road. That we had to keep that one for a secret for a while. It was pretty cool, but it got debuted at SEMA, and I'm sure all of you have seen it by now, sliding around, doing demos all week, smoking all 4 42-inch tires with the 1,000 horsepower 5.2 Coyote in that thing. Let's take a trip down memory lane, and we'll show you some of the build progress of that when we had it here. right, so the Bronco build. So basically started out as a two-door Bronco. I'm not sure what model they call that. It's just two-door Bronco. Vaughn and Loren actually saved it from the Crusher because it was like, I think it was one of the pre-production models or something like that. So basically showed up fully running, driving, complete, brand new vehicle with 150 miles on it, ready to go. So all we used of that was basically the cab, which was like the door jambs and the window frame and the doors. So everything else either got thrown away or those guys took all the parts back for spares for their other Broncos. That's all we used out of that whole build. Designed the whole thing in the computer, laser cut a bunch of the stuff here, machined a bunch of parts for it here. The front of it utilized the same bulkhead as their race cars. So that was one of the requirements, is they wanted interchangeable parts with their current race vehicles. So we had to work around a few parameters there. The front end got 7 4-weld portals, big power steering solution steering rack, and then the rear is the same Spider Tracks rear end as their race vehicles. And then the rest of it, you know, same shock package as the race vehicles, same transfer case, diffs, same wheel and tire package, 42s on 20-inch double bead locks. And then the engine, they went with the GT500 engine, and then we ended up swapping a Whipple supercharger on it. So basically puts out about 1,000 horsepower at the crank and just roasts 42s like it's nothing. But yeah, designed the whole thing in the computer, you know, worked around a bunch of those parameters. We machined the trailing arms for it, upper links, bunch of cool one-off stuff. Sheet metaled the whole thing in, so it's all welded in steel sheet metal like you would build a pre-runner. So it's not like an aluminum deal. Zeused in, the cab's all welded to the chassis, so it's all one piece. Once we got it to, to that point, we sent it out, had our guys at Pacific Coast powder coating, sandblast the whole thing. They steel did the chassis and then did like a black primer on all like the factory sheet metal and our sheet metal. So it's kind of a nice, cool, like two-tone black and gray. And then we had all the panels powder coated black, and then had a bunch of stuff anodized. Did all final assembly with RPI 12 points. The truck went to Fiberworks to get custom glass made and a dash. So they made the dash, the front clip, and the bedsides for it. Basically left here as a full roller, no plumbing, no wiring, but the majority of the components were mounted in the vehicle, and then it left here, and then Loren and his team took it back to their shop and they wrapped it all up, got it running and driving, did a cool, wrap design on it. They had like a tailgate made for the back, which was super cool. That was also one of the parameters. They wanted to keep it with like the rear within like where a tailgate would be. So we didn't build the chassis out the back with like a larger fuel cell and like spare tire setup. Built all the exhaust on it, headers, exhaust, like single 4-inch exit exhaust out the back. Sounds pretty cool. It's the first time we've ever built exhaust or headers for anything with a Ford motor. And that was also tricky, fitting the 5.2 GT500 engine in there. Is pretty sure it's dual overhead cam, but the engine is like bigger than a big block Chevy, so it's pretty offset in the chassis. The transmission exits centered in the back. The front of the engine's probably 4 or 5 inches off to the passenger side to get front driveline going in there. So the chassis is built kind of asymmetrical. The mid plate is asymmetrical in there to also allow foot room for the driver. We weren't too worried about foot room for the passenger, but there's still plenty of room for 2 full-size adults in there. Yeah, it was cool to see it sliding around at SEMA. It was pretty much the whole talk of SEMA was the Bronco sliding around out front all weekend with Loren behind the wheel. Vaughn drove it a couple times. Chelsea DeNofa got in there and ripped it around a couple times. So that was cool to watch everyone just kind of get in it and have fun. That's what it's for. It's not a race vehicle. They didn't build it as a race car. Everyone asks if they're going to race it, but if you're going to race it, there was no point to have a steel cab. If it's a race truck, just be fiberglass cab. But so they're going to use it just to have a bunch of fun and make a bunch of cool content for everyone to enjoy. But it was cool to build another truck with them. It's my 3rd project with Vaughn, second project with Vaughn and Loren. So pretty cool to build something with them again. So yeah, here's a bunch of B-roll. Enjoy. right, well that wraps it up for this week here at Kibbetech. Thanks for tuning in. I know it's been a while. We're gonna try to do these as often as we can, but as you can tell, we are super busy and these videos take a lot of time. But we're gonna try to do more of this. So tell all your buddies, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next week.